We were talking about music, and then we got this question before the break about different about mimicking musical instruments with your own voice. So I'll answer this question, inshallah. But before I answer this question, I just wanted to tell you one thing. What is prohibited in the case of music is basically attempting to listen. It is not hearing the music, so you don't need to particularly. I mean, if you do this out of wara, cautious piety, and you basically plug your ears when you hear music, that's fine. But if you're walking out in the street or you're walking through the aisles at Walmart or some other store and there is music in the background, you don't need to worry about this. You're not in sin because hearing is not a sin. Otherwise, you have no control on your ears. You can't shut them off and turn them on. It is listening. And in the sixth annual convention of AMJA, where certain contemporary issues regarding rulings that pertain to youth in the West were discussed, and that was in Canada a couple of years ago. We came to the conclusion that it is permissible for certain educational shows, for instance, Discovery, History Channel, certain educational shows for children and even for adults, news programs and things of that nature, that it would be permissible to watch those even though there is music in the background. It would be permissible to watch those even though there may be music in the background, because of the benefit in some of these shows. Some of them are educational, and they have various benefits. Discovery Channel about science, History Channel, and certainly kids nowadays, they have some aversion to reading, which is something I'm not saying that we should settle with this, and I'm not saying that we should give in to their aversion, but sometimes also to enhance their learning through certain programs, documentaries, and things of that nature may be acceptable, even though it may include something that is suboptimal, or it may include music. Since the music is not intended, listening is not intended in this case, it is just some noise in the background, and hopefully if you ignore it, it becomes white noise and you're not noticing anymore. So going back to the issue of halal and haram music, and the particular question about mimicking the sounds. If you're mimicking, let's break this down. If you're mimicking sounds that are permissible, such as the sounds of drums and other percussion instruments that are like drums, then that would be permissible because you're mimicking a permissible sound. If you're mimicking a sound that is essentially not permissible, such as the blowing instruments and the string instruments, sounds that are produced by those instruments, then I would be very uncomfortable with this. Now, why do I shy away from saying it is haram or prohibited? Because usually our scholars taught us, our great imams in the past taught us, that when it is clear-cut and there is text of revelation to support it, you may go ahead and say haram without fear. But when it looks like the haram in one way and the halal in one way, or it is not clear-cut, or there is no clear explicit text to support your condemnation of the matter, or you're considering it haram, then you shy away from the word haram and you just say, I dislike it. This is what the great imams used to say. Akrahuhu, it's makruh, I dislike it. So that is what I would say, because here you're not using a musical instrument, but you are producing the sound of a musical instrument. So in one way it is not like the haram, and in one way it is like that which has been clearly prohibited.